Okay, so welcome everyone to the construction podcast again. Great to have everyone here, the regular listeners. Got something a little bit different today. We're going to have an interview. Pleased to welcome Stephen Kerslake. Great to have you here, Stephen.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're going to dive into what Stephen does in a second. Just to introduce him, Stephen is the founder and chair of Construction Sports, a charity that helps construction people with their mental health and well-being. So Stephen's going to jump in and tell us all about that. He's got some exciting things that are happening with that company or charity. So maybe first of all, Stephen, if I could just get a little bit of a background of you. I know you're in construction and involved in a lot of things. Tell us a bit about your background in construction.
So yeah, I'm pretty much I like to say my trade is I'm a ground worker, but I don't think we're even a trade, are we? We're just the guys who don't have anything. The guys who got no other option, jump on a shovel, dig some holes. So yeah, groundworks is always my background. I started off in the industry, I think, actually doing glazing. I worked with played football with a team when I was 16 years old, and then didn't come out of school with much. And yeah, was given an option of go and do some glazing on some big commercial jobs around the UK. And yeah, took it. And I was 16, 17 to 18. Yeah, I think a couple of years then. Yeah, I went round from London to Southampton to Cardiff to Sunderland, literally all around the UK, transient working. Living the dream really, just 16, 17, 18-year-old. It was great. You just go and do a day's work, get a sub up front at the end of the shift, and then go and enjoy the evening every week. That's when you go out in the evening and enjoy work in the morning. So yeah, them days are gone. Nice. But yeah, that was good. That's how I started. And yeah, went with that. Recession hit in 2008, 2009-ish, that kind of area. That work dried up a little bit. And then being part of a rugby club, I was quite lucky to just go into the club and say, who's got to start on Monday? I didn't mind what I'd done as long as I could earn some money. Yeah, and I was a Sparky's mate sort of thing for a little while, dry liner. What did I do then? Seeding, fixing was a big part of that. Yeah, all different stuff. And then yeah, master of many, should I say? And yeah, sorry, master of none, they say. Yeah, what done that, and then yeah, I left the industry for a little bit. Then I actually went skiing for 4 months. So I went and worked out in Austria. And for the 2 years I'd done that, worked this season skiing. Was brilliant. Then once that was done, come back after the second season, and then actually went into car sales. I got a friend of mine asked me to go into that. That was a short-lived career because apparently I was too honest. And I said, if people didn't need to buy a new car, I'd let them know your part exchange is fine. Don't worry about it. And that wasn't the right way to do it. So fell back. I actually went to go into the sales manager there said that it probably isn't your job, is it? I was like, no, not really. I said, but could I try commercial sales for the vans and stuff? I said, because I've got a bit of an understanding of that stuff. So I went in to go into commercial sales, and then at the same time, a friend of mine had a big construction company. Said, "Steve, we need some ground workers. I know you're cut out for it. Do you fancy it?" And yeah, went back in the industry, took me back in again. So yeah, I was back on driving machines and yeah, ground working and a bit of everything. Really, it was great. It was really good. That was the other side of London. Was working around in Farnborough, Costa Coffee in Farnborough. If any listeners are drinking there, that's where we built. Yeah, and then I just fell in love with the industry again, really. Yeah, I had kind of the mental health side of it come along, I'm sure we'll touch on. But from there, I needed more hours and more work to do. I wanted to make up some lost time that had happened. And yeah, I realised I could, if I work on the railway side of things, I could make up for lost time, weekends and nights. And start work on the railway. Yeah, got asked, got a job come up, so we want a civil supervisor with rail experience. I said, yeah, no problem. Walked on site. They said, have you got any rail experience? I said, no, but I will have in a minute. And yeah, I was there. And yeah, and I was there for a year. Big job, Volker Fitzpatrick, that was a brilliant job in Siemens. And then from there was number, I think 12 or 13 on the induction list of Crossrail Anglia in the east side of things, where Crossrail really started just to pick up. I live out that way, so it was a great job to be on. Yeah, spent 5 years on there as kind of a foreman, supervisor to foreman, general foreman role. Yeah, and it went from there. Then onto a big job, Thames Water job for not EKP. Who was that? AMK, Acon Murphy's Kia. Went to work with them as a section foreman, overseeing a big sewage treatment plant in North London. That was brilliant, despite the smell. And then yeah, from there, just carried on with that really. And then, yeah, just kind of been down to DP World, London Gateway, the big shipping containers all come in. And we still do work down there to this day. So heavy civil. It's gone from patios and driveways. Yeah, patios and driveways to a certain extent to now the biggest stuff in the country. So that's what I love.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So you've got a vast array of experience throughout construction, different trades. You've tried different things. And am I right in saying you're now actually a business owner, aren't you? You've got some people working for you in the groundworks industry.
Yeah. So we do a lot of currently we do a lot of block pave repair works and concrete structure repairs. So there's down with the ports that we work at where there's just damage from pretty much heavy machinery and heavy containers doing a lot of damage. We repair works down there. We have 2 to 3 guys on nights in London, and then 5 or 6 guys at the weekends. We have to kind of work around the busy times. So Monday to Friday, obviously with the construction support stuff, is quite useful to focus on some of that. But now also, apart from that, we're actually working down at a yard in Birmingham as well, in Cannock. There's a yard down there that we're doing the same works on. So yeah, across the country, going from east to west a lot of the time, but across the Watford gap every now and then, I get a bit the sneezes start, but they're all right.
Brilliant. That's great. And the reason I wanted to get you on, Stephen, is because the people that listen to my podcast generally are construction business owners. They've been like yourself, they might have been on the tools for a bit and tried a few different trades potentially, but generally speaking, they're owners that are hungry to grow their business. But there's challenges that come along with that, isn't there? As you're trying to grow a business as a construction business owner, it's stressful, and it's great to hear your story potentially from someone that's come off the tools that is now a business owner. But it's not all rosy being a business owner, is it? There's certain challenges that you sort of face. So, what challenges have you faced during your time in construction?
Yeah, because I probably, when coming off the tools as such, when I first started, so I used to always think that. I was thinking it's the workforce not being respected here. It's all just directed at them. And I even see that now in terms of from the very top, really, that businesses have got to do more. They've got to do more. And I see it now. We haven't got time. And the budgets and programs and pressures are just so tight all the time. And the pressure on as a business owner, it's so hard. And cash flow, just when you think another job's coming, you're doing well here, then suddenly cash flow, that mix between cash flow and actually then getting paid on time, and then the lads don't go unpaid every week; they get paid no matter what. So that is the tough, just weighing things up. I've found it so hard. So I honestly literally used to think of it. Oh, you've got 5 or 6 guys working for you, and all this, you'll be doing fine on a price work. But once that push comes to shove, it's a whole new ball game. And then I see it now. There's a massively, what I say, my problem with mental health construction isn't in the workforce. It's not with the company owners, because we've been pushed from the very, very top to get as much done as quick as we can. And if there's a window of opportunity to have a rest day, they just bring the program forward. And there's no chance. I always say this in the sport context: there is no pre-season with construction, is there? Especially different side of it, nights, days, weekends, Christmas. Construction is always moving, no matter what.
Yeah, you're right. And it's interesting what you said there. So pressure can sometimes come from above if you're, a subcontractor to maybe a main contractor or someone else. So there's someone bigger up there. I think, some of the people listening to this will be working for maybe homeowners. They might not all be working on the commercial side, but they're getting pressure from that side of things to get the jobs finished. So it is constant pressure, isn't it? And I think the frustrating thing is the lads sometimes that you've got working for you, they think it's rosy, don't they? They think that you're earning a fortune and life's easy, and they don't quite realise what's going on in the background, those cash flow issues and whatever else.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Unfortunately enough, because the house building stuff is probably one of the main things I've actually not done lots on, but I understand it all to a certain degree. And we just bought a new property last week, a new house. We've just moved, and we're currently living with the in-laws at the moment, and renovating the house at home. And we've kind of I've put kind of my own programs together at home, trying to do things that. Fortunately, I've called in some favours from friends and everybody's there. But the plumber rang me up on Friday and said they're really apologetic. Sorry, not Friday, Wednesday. So I'm really apologising that we're going to run into Monday, and it's going to, just because of the boiler being delivered. And I said, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. If it's Monday, it's Monday. And I could feel he was probably nervous about making that phone call. And I was like, fine. So I said that I've kind of got penciled in middle to the later part of October that we'll be in. But there's no stress. Just crack on. You do, as long as we're doing as much as we can. It's all we can do, isn't it? Really. So But obviously we don't see that in the big wide world. It's just literally, isn't it? It's just every second you can squeeze and squeeze and squeeze.
Exactly.
Pop, unfortunately.
Exactly. Well, and that's interesting. And sometimes things do go pop, don't they? And it really catches up with us. So what sort of challenge did you face with that sort of pressure, Stephen? How did that affect you?
Well, it's kind of. This is an interesting one I actually heard last week, because actually the Scaffold Conference, I do work with them for construction sport. And they were spoken to a lawyer, a law firm was talking there, and they just said the likes of it can be contracted in contract. I haven't seen it myself, but listening to them, I'm sure your listeners would understand. But contractually, companies can't even show if they're struggling with cash flow and things like that, to a point of there's clauses in there that if the main contractor has doubt that you have cash flow issues, they can terminate a contract there and then. So you could be God knows how far into a project, and suddenly they pull that. So, but I've gone back to my clients in the past and said to them, just so you understand, I'm a working man with a family, and I also accompany four or five other guys who have wife and kids. Your delayed payments does make a difference to whether food goes on tables or not. And I've done that. I've showed my hands and was honest about it, and they fair enough come back and said they'll help and literally get payment terms tidied up a bit sooner. But at the same time, if I would have done that to a client I didn't know, they could have terminated anything and everything then. And that was an eye opener for me hearing that last week. I was like, God, this just shows how cutthroat this place is, that we can't even talk about if we're struggling contractually or financially to clients, and we have to hide all this. And it is so wrong. These people know that their supply chain are genuinely the best people out there to do the job, but they just don't support them when it comes to being financially supported.
Yeah, so we can see why this is exasperating the mental health issues in the industry, can't we, amongst business owners and workers, because it just feeds down the chain, doesn't it? As the more and more pressure that comes on. So I know that, Stephen, you've got involved in a charity, a really good charity, Construction Sports. Where did that all start from? What made you start that up and think about that?
It all stemmed, going back probably to the root of it all, really. I was unfortunately caught up in an incident where I had sulfuric acid thrown on me in 2008, 2009-ish. I always forget what the year was, but and it was it was obviously a traumatic event. What happened, unfortunately, visually, physically, I healed up quite well, and it was from a distance. It happened just around the same time that Katie Piper incident happened. It was seemed to become the fashionable way of people being assaulted, really. I was very much caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. I wasn't with a troublesome crowd involved with anyone. I'd come back from a rugby tournament on my own and was walking with some guys that I knew from school, and they attacked a couple of innocent people, and I stuck up for the innocent people, and unfortunately got a bottle of acid. But that led to a number of issues. Physically, I've done very well 3 or 4 months with the right treatment. I was back in the game. I had a few blemishes across the face that you can't really see on Zoom, but we had it to a position where that 4 or 5 months later, I then noticed that my sleep was starting to struggle a little bit, and it turned out it was pretty much, I'd have flashbacks to certain things, but not that night. It was always found different. People always says that there was to be certain things you'd go back to that evening, but I never did. It'd be little things like blokes' WhatsApp messages and things that you see online when people would post everything, and you just think, I didn't want to watch that, and now I'm waking up at night seeing it in my head. But I went and got seen, went to the doctors, GP, referred to a counsellor. They got diagnosed with PTSD, and I think I was 20, 21 at the time, and I kind of just shrugged it off and said, I'm not military, so I don't warrant PTSD, and just ignored it. I ignored it for a couple of years, and it kind of come back and haunted me. And physically, I suffered with what was diagnosed as ulcerative colitis of the stomach. So pretty much, it's a part of the irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and it's linked to Crohn's disease. It's the other end of Crohn's disease as such. But I went to hospital to get that checked after kind of ignoring it for quite a while. It turned out that it was too late, and I had to go through pretty much 2 years of treatment, of surgery, and remove my stomach, rebuilt my stomach, attached me to a bag for a couple of years, all this kind of stuff. And then I had all this anger inside, but this is when that was then, because of that lost time is what led me to the railway. Because I thought I missed a couple of 18 months work here, and I didn't make up for lost time. So that's, the railway welcomed me in. But I had such a lot of anger towards kind of life in the world, thinking I was the only one in the world who was struggling with this or had struggles. And then I was finding that people who literally, I'd go back into construction, and we'd hear stories about someone's just taking their own life because of some financial issue or something or other. Little things that could be nipped in the bud, and I just thought, that doesn't sound that bad. I thought I was having it hard, and that guy just took his own life for a petty reason, really. Like, it really could have done something about that. And then literally from this thinking it was only me, I started talking to all the guys I looked after, and fortunately been on quite a lot of big projects and big sites, and I was talking to hundreds and hundreds of men, really, thousands probably over the years. And these stories are just in everybody. There was something there in everyone, and the pressure was on everybody. And I just thought, And then the statistics started coming out, and 1 in 4 was suffering, and this and that. And then the 2 a day started. I heard that 2 a day 5-6 years ago, and we're still saying 2 a day now. What's mad, because we've had COVID, and now we're in a huge crisis. I can guarantee that 2 a day is
So just to
scary
clarify
high.
for everyone what that is, that's 2 a day that are committing
Yeah,
suicide.
2 a day suicides within the
Mm.
industry, they're saying. Yeah, and that's, like I say, that's been quite a few years of saying that, and I can only, what we hear now is it is worse, and what we're hearing it is, but it's not echoed. But I started realizing all these people are having these problems, and 1 in 4 people having mental health issues of some description, to me, just didn't seem accurate. And I just thought something needs to be done here. So I was working on Crossrail, and then we got 2 days with charity days, and it was Macmillan they were raising money for, and a lot of us had personal kind of reasons why we wanted to help Macmillan. And they said that nobody's ever walked Crossrail before, and we're on it, so should we do it? And then if everybody said it's a stupid idea, and that just made me say, yeah, that's exactly why we're going to do it. Let's go for it. Yeah, convinced 5 or 6 colleagues to come along with me, and we walked from Reading to Shenfield. And I just took it like a golf day. I'd been on a couple of golf days and realised people get all the holes sponsored, and then I just said to people, "Look, do you want to sponsor a station along the route?" And then the supply chain at Crossrail was brilliant, because they all wanted to be seen in the Crossrail lights, so they all chipped in. And within literally a couple of weeks, we had £15,000 come together, and handed that over to all of it to Macmillan. We had some expenses there, what we got other companies to cover, what worked brilliantly. And then, yeah, from that, I then realised on that walk that there was a few of us in that walk who were having real dark times away from work, and also within our personal lives and family lives. And then from that day, I kind of just thought, why has it taken 3 days of walking to find out something from a good friend of mine who I didn't know, and I had issues, but I've been working with him for 5 or 6 years. But his story was he's a big P-way engineer, so the railway, he's the hands-on kind of. He was the big kind of foreman as well. He's a big, powerful man, and he said to me, he said, "Steve, give me an opportunity just to drop the tools and just let weight off my shoulders," because he goes home to his young son who wasn't too well at the time, and he has to be this macho man. And then when he's at work in this big environment, he's the macho man. And he said, "There's no where he can just not be that macho character." And that 3 days just broke him down in a way, and just literally made him feel a hell of a lot better. And I was, yeah, from that day, he and a couple of other stories just inspired me to do something about it. And then I'd go on sites, and I'd get people would come on site and brief me about certain things, and I just disagreed with it massively, because I understood that until you've been there, until you've experienced what it is to be in the industry or work in any different side of it, nobody knows what your mental health can be dealt with. And more, I was kind of angry because these people were from outside the industry, and they were just, and I see it today, I'm contacted by them all the time, all outside organizations, just who are kind of start-up businesses trying to just come in and take the cash out of it, basically. And it's so wrong. And then I just
And
thought
they're
something
coming in
done.
to advise on mental health. Are they? Is that the type?
Yeah, it was
but they
kind
haven't
of,
got the experience.
there's a level that I'm really for. I think we need to bring in mental health support to the industry and open up to the real professionals who know it. At the moment, we're trying to educate construction workers to become mental health professionals, and we're not. We're very much, we're just construction workers. And as we know, none of us have got time for that. And there's courses saying that we are doing it, but ultimately giving people these different roles that I don't agree with, because we haven't got time for it, and they're not being used. And I see it with the workforce. These people don't know these people who do this stuff. So yeah, I thought more needs to be done. I said, if we can just create opportunities for people to go on big walks or play sport or do stuff in a sporting environment, that it all looks after itself. It's a lot of us do. And they said, I think the age is between 30 and 45, somewhere around there. It might be 30 odd to 49, I think, are the kind of the danger years, they kind of say. And I try to work out why that is, and there's all different reasons why it is. But one of my main things from my own perspective is, in your 20s, you go around, that late teens, your 20s, you go out, you party, you enjoy yourself, you go and play sport every weekend, or do whatever you can to just live the dream, I suppose. And then, but when late 20s come in, early 30s, the family life's like, you meet a lady, and then your time away from your mates pulls away a little bit. You go under the thumb, and you get all the stick for it and all this kind of stuff. Talking from personal experiences. And then the kids come along, and then suddenly, for me, very much weekends are all about the kids and the family. And then suddenly that time with all your mates and that real laugh and down and taking the weight off your shoulders slowly fades away. And then I think that's why a lot of these groups you see pop up now, like even like I've seen one the other day, over 100 kilo football, over for big guys who want to play football.
Yeah, I
There's
saw
a
that.
league
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, talking clubs, literally five-a-side football, walking football, all these different things. They just work because it just gives the guys aren't necessarily there because they want to compete. They just want to go and have a laugh, and they don't. And then that naturally comes with, oh, I'm having a bit of pressure here, and then suddenly the guy next to you says, I'm having a bit of pressure too, and your pressure's just been halved because you know you're not the only one there, so struggling. So that's what we're doing now with the sporting opportunities. We just played rugby at Saracens Rugby Ground yesterday. We hired that out and for the construction, our first official construction rugby team, and we played against Essex Fire Brigade. And it was brilliant. And like I say, we touched on it a little bit and say to everyone, keep your head up, sort of thing. And when you're not in your own boat, sort of thing, in your own boat, and you can tell it when the man shakes your hand and says thank you for a great day. You can see it in the eyes, sort of thing, of someone when they literally say like it meant more than them to than just a bit of rugby yesterday. So yeah, creating sporting opportunities to better the industry is basically what we want to do.
Yeah. So is it obviously you touched on this earlier. So we spoke about, when what were the statistics? But 30 to 40, what did you say it was?
Yeah, I think sorry. Yeah, I'll stay away from the stats a little bit, but I know it's between I think the kind of early 30s to mid 40s. I think.
Yeah. So
kind of like,
and that makes complete sense, doesn't it? With exactly what you said, the family pressures and I guess what is happening with what you're doing is that some people just don't have that release if they're not going to see their mates in the pub, or that it's all about family time, and they're not they just haven't got time for anything else, and it's all about work and pressure. Where do they get that release from? So I guess what you're doing in this industry, you're not having a whole day talking about mental health, but you're giving them that release, are you? To be
it's
around
exactly
other
that.
people.
It's creating an environment for a positive release of it. Really. Again, when we was on Crossrail, I remember we had a big, I think 8 to 10 week blockade where we were all taking 72-hour weeks, as that's the max we could do, and making hay while the sun shine. But at the end of it, they said, look, lads, we're going to take you all out for a drink at the end of it and say thank you to you all. It was brilliant. I'm very thankful for them for doing it, but it was that they should have said play football first or something, because everyone went in there with 8-9 weeks of aggression in their body. And then, the pub was pretty much turned over in about an hour and a half. But you could see it. There was literally boys, and everyone went home then into problems and literally problems at home because they got home drunk, and they then had all these problems with their wives and families for the weekend, and it ruined their family weekends. It just showed that just going out and hitting the bottle hard is not the way. But go and do something. Like we had a game of rugby yesterday, and then we were in the clubhouse, had a couple of beers, and then that was kind of it. And you get that emotion out of your body in a positive light, and then you can enjoy having a drink and enjoy your family time. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. You did touch on this already, but I just want to make sure we get this out there because I think this is so important. We touched on industry statistics. You said, if I just repeat it back to you, did you say that it's about 1 in 4 that are struggling with mental health? Is that right?
It was at 1 in 4. Are they saying maybe? Yeah, to be honest, there's so many different outlets across the industry which are shouting stuff out. 1 in 4 was the original one I remember seeing. 1 in 4 suffer with mental health issues. So they were kind of going in a way that's educate that 1 in 4 then to make sure that they do this. But 4 out of 4 of us are going to witness some kind of trauma in our lives or do something. Unfortunately, we're in a world where we aren't going to all live forever. We're going to lose people. We're going to lose pets, and it's little things. We're going to get caught up with financial issues here and there. We're going to have struggles. It is all of us. We can't focus on just educating 1 in 4 or supporting 1 in 4. We need to all be educated and know that sooner or later, if it hasn't already, something's going to slap us in the face, and we need to be ready for it. And understand.
Yeah, I think that's a really valuable point. So those that are listening to this who might be construction business owners, one, they might be suffering as it is anyway, and it's good just to know that you're not the only one. There's a lot out there that are going through similar things, but also just to keep an eye, if we just think of those statistics, if it is 1 in 4 or more than that, if you've got a few guys working for you or girls working for you, whatever it is, that there's people on your workforce that are going to be going through issues and maybe just don't have that support or don't have anyone to talk to. So business owners need to be aware of this, don't they? And think about that, what they've potentially got there.
Yeah, one thing we've started to really notice as well from a company's perspective, they're thinking how do they support 20, 30 guys or 10, 15 guys or something. Look at the gangs that they're in. Those gangs that people are in, those tight-knit gangs, the gang of, say, scaffolders or the gang of ground workers or or the group of engineers or something. Those tight knit groups that are forming and working with each other every day are the groups that can help each other. The guys, we see it firsthand. If you put a mental first aider in middle management and that get them to look after the workforce, people don't go to them. It's literally, we've seen this across. We went on HS2, we saw it across 3,000 people. It's not working. And there's been reports come out and show that that is not. That might be one step of what to do, but it's not everything. But the guys in the vans and the gangs of people, they know from the second someone sits in that van in the morning that if there's something up, and they will talk. And if you as a business, I believe if you can really concentrate and let those gangs, give them gain some opportunities together to go and strengthen that bond and support each other even more. Even to the point of literally that, what we said, the best one, we've all been at the British culture, we all have a curry. So that I go to a curry club and things like that, and just sort out. I'm not saying you have to take days and days off work, and these guys got to go out for the day and enjoy themselves, but just give them an opportunity where you might even just say to 5 or 6 of them lads, we just put some money behind the local curry house for you. Go out and enjoy yourself. The management don't need to be there, just let them, and that will go a long, long way. It's those little perks in a day where we can't retain labour and we're struggling for workforce, that those little things might just prevent you from losing a few guys.
Yeah, no, that's really good points there. What do you think? I know this is a really loaded question, but what do you think the big problem is that needs addressing? If I mean, it's probably a multitude of things that need doing, but where do you think it's? If you could pinpoint.
Education to the workforce, everybody. One way I look at it, how it could be done is literally if. This obviously doesn't count for the guys on the ground who don't need CSCS cards, but I believe if we use it in the same formula as we did with health and safety back when it first come in, and with just high-vis clothes and PPE, we've noticed that the guys on the top infrastructure projects and the big stuff, projects wise, they implemented health and safety procedures and put restrictions in the way procedures in place. That is filtered down. So I'll go around the corner now and see the local builder cutting some blocks, and he'll have a pair of goggles and a mask on. And that years ago would never have happened. And not everyone's doing that yet, but it does filter down. So if we were to put in place some kind of a mental health awareness training, what was linked, I believe, to the CSCS card with the CITB or whoever it is, there's so many organisations to try and keep an eye on it. But that when people then at those top jobs advertise for jobs to come on there, for people to come on their projects, they have to have this little bit of training with them as well, as so it show up as they've done their touch and screen health and safety, and additionally they've also done that. If those projects have blanketed their whole project and said we won't accept people on this site until they've done that as well, then you're going to get 100% of the workforce. 100% of the workforce are doing that CSCS test anyway. So why can't there be a dedicated section to that? And then that has got to lead on with some further support along the way, or procedures or way that can be supported. But mental health education just isn't really put out there. This mental health first aid stuff is put out there, but I done that course and I got a phone call within 3 weeks from somebody who had handed my number over to someone to say that was my role, and it wasn't, and this person was in a very dangerous position. And I was caught between a rock and a hard place at 9 o'clock at night while sitting down with my, I think, 2-month-old boy at the time and my wife. And then I then come from that day. That's why I kind of said that this can't be the way that we're doing it. And I know now for a fact that there's very senior people, very high up people in the industry who don't agree with it as well. So it's just a case of we need to realise businesses, there's more than just this course to do. We can really support people and really support the workforce. And so sorry, we've got on a tangent with it all. Go
No, that's actually fine. I think just touching on what you said there about, if it was mandatory, if it was part of the CSCS scheme or something that everyone done it, I think that's such a valuable point, because what's potentially going to happen is that they're not going to go and talk to their bosses about this, are they? If someone's struggling with something, they're not going to go to the boss. They're going to talk to their mate that they're working alongside. And I guess for some of us, we might not know what to do when someone comes up to us with an issue, or we might not be able to necessarily, we know that something's off, but we can't recognize what the signs are or when there's danger areas. So I guess if everyone's educated on, actually, if you see this is potentially what you should do, or this is where you should direct them, it'd be a great thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And that's it. Just say, as soon as someone's just spoken to you, let you know that for that person, it's such a weight off their shoulders. A lot of the time, that's probably just enough for them, just to be able to say that out loud. And that is, a lot of time, is just enough. We say all the time, we don't go around advising people or work as counsellors or try and fix people's problems or anything. We just literally try and get them to come and have a kickabout somewhere or have a laugh, and just something which shuts them off a little bit from modern day life. And that's like with football. As you say, even if you played half hour of football, for that half hour, all your problems disappear. But yeah, so do not fear, and that's what I think it now is. We're seeing it. I've been to a few award nights across the industry, a few exhibitions, and there's very, very little even being spoken about it because people aren't comfortable talking about it. But nobody's comfortable talking about a subject they aren't educated on. So if we could just give people a little bit of education, the stigma will probably disappear. So
yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, that's brilliant. So what you're doing is obviously brilliant. You started, as you said, you started your first event with that walk, and then you've started to expand it. As you've started to expand your events, what barriers did you sort of face in the industry in general, or have you faced any barriers? And or how has it been received generally across the top management?
Well, it's we're getting there. 6 years, I suppose, in the making. Obviously, that was a big part. That was COVID, so that never had that kind of when everything just went down tools to a certain extent. But I remember saying when one project I was on, I went to it was a joint venture. I won't start calling names, but I still speak to them all today, so it's not bad. But the manager I work for said, "No, I'm not letting you have a couple of days off to go and do that. That's ridiculous." So I said, "Okay, no worries." So I just went right above his head, straight to the director, and said, "Can I do this?" And he went all for it. He'd done a lot of Ironman competitions. This director, so he overrided kind of the people who signed my timesheet. So I was playing with fire big time, but and it come off really well. But that was it. It was just kind of not to say the old school mentality or to kind of go back on that, but it's kind of why would you let people go and have a kick about when you think it's just because they want to have a go, have a laugh? And it's like, no, there's more to that than them just having a laugh. But there really is. But we're seeing it all the time. We always get no, we don't need to engage in anything else. We've got one thing I am not, and people see this because we've only just set up a membership scheme actually ready for the next couple of weeks, and this has been going 6 years, and we've had a couple of companies come in and help us with some financially help us push a little bit. But I'm not no salesman. I'm not going around saying to people, selling this to people. I'm saying if you want to be part of it, come on board, brilliant. If not, we'll catch up with you later because you're going to come on eventually because we're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
So I just in my degree, it's just literally if people aren't interested, they don't want it. There's so many companies out there who are interested in it and want to speak with us that I go, no worries, and I just move on all the time. But there is that kind of people. My hardest one, not hardest one, the one that probably drives me most is people. A lot of the time, see me come along as just a ground worker or an ex-ground worker who's got this idea, and I'm not from a corporate world in the industry. But I've sat in these corporate meetings on Crossrail and stuff. I've been brought into high up meetings, probably that I probably was out of my comfort zone with, and I've sat there and realised everyone else is in the same boat. We're all there winging it one way or another. So that's what I've realised, and I thought, because I've not come from an educated background where I come through a university or degrees or business management or anything like that. But one thing I do know more than most people who haven't been on the ground is I know exactly what these people are going through and the struggles we are. So you need to listen to me because I'm going to tell you the truth. And it's not what everyone wants to hear all the time, and some people don't want to, but it's the only thing that's going to make a difference now because what's being done at the moment isn't working.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So obviously you're seeing some real positive impact. You wouldn't be doing this if you weren't seeing the positive impact this is having on people. Have you got any specific story, not obviously not naming any names, but any specific stories that you can relate that where it's really helped, individuals or groups of people, some of your events?
Yeah, so there was that one guy I mentioned with the walk, that he's given that downtime. There was another one was actually from someone quite close to me. What hit me more than something I never thought, but we put on it was actually a rugby tournament 3 years ago, and I'd messaged someone and she said that I need your help out today. Can you come? I need your help out next week. Are you playing? And he went, I'm there straight away, and that was it. I didn't find that out until about 3 months ago when I see him in the gym actually, and he said that day I messaged him. He was about to do something. Yeah, he was literally at home ready to finish it, and he said that message come through and gave him something to look forward to next week. And he said yeah to it, and he come along and he said you literally snapped me out of this kind of headspace I was in, and it was a very dark place. He's not fortunately he's not been there very often, and I did that, and he comes to rugby. He said, but you gave me purpose to be around for that next week. And he said, by the time that rugby came, I had a laugh and I was back in the game, and he's doing really well now. And it was when he hit me with that was when it kind of choked me up a little bit. I thought, I didn't expect that. And he's a big lad as well. And little things like that, and you hear it over the years. And what gets you more, I think, as I say, he said that to me, but is the look in people's eyes when they come and say thank you for something. Like yesterday, we had 45 of us to play rugby for 25 from the fire brigade, but 20 from the construction sector. and people literally queued up just to say thank you and shake my hand. I thought this was a bit surreal. I was like, there's only just I've done this because I want to have a laugh today, so I'm just glad it's helping. But it's the look in a man's eyes when you know that you've helped him. He doesn't need to talk, not to me, he doesn't. So yeah, that's kind of what I like.
Yeah, that's amazing, Steve. Yeah, brilliant. So we touched on it earlier that you're obviously a business owner now, and you've got a few guys that work under you. Now you know all of this, and you're seeing the sort of impacts that this is having on people. What changes have you potentially made in your company, or what are you doing that might be a little bit different that you weren't doing years ago?
Probably paying the guys too much. I always say that.
Yeah, that's it.
I've not had. I looked at this the other day. People were messaging me all the time and say, "Steve, we can't get the labour, can't get the labour." And I know it's not easy for everyone. I said, but I can't say one day I've had any of the 5 guys that worked for me in the last year have a day off. They've been there all the time. They're always there. But I look after them. I'll drop in every week and just buy them dinner and just drop. So they'll be there at night and that. I'll just take some pizzas down or little things like that. They can give you the little edge of respect. I've been there, and these little things. The guys I've got working cross country at the moment in Birmingham, they're down there on staying in digs, and they're away from family. And they just said to me, I said, "Look, here's the meterage we need every week done." I said, "You get it done by Thursday, you come home Friday morning." As simple as that. Just go in Friday morning, have a good tidy up, show face, agree what's going to be in place for Monday, and you'll be paid for Friday as well. And they were so thankful for that. And now they messaged me yesterday, said we're done for midday from yesterday. I said, no, you've got to hang on till Friday morning, please, boys. I said, just you can't disappear then. Yeah. But I've been there, and we've hit that meterage, or we've hit that kind of that target, and then people add more, then they'll add more, and then that's when that edge of respect just starts to go then. So I said to the lads that last week, I said, "Oh, God, if you're eating this on a Thursday now, so I'm going to have to start upping it." And I see the look in their eyes of what they wanted to say to me. I won't say that out loud.
You might end up with a few people messaging you for a job after this, Steve. You look after the guys well.
Yeah, but it's just exactly it. Because I am still a ground worker at heart, and I always will be. And I just know that if someone showed me that little bit of respect, or does show me that little bit of respect, I'll go above and beyond. And these lads do it now. I had it last weekend. I said to the lads, I said that I just got the keys to my new place, and I've opened the doors. And as it is, you buy a place, and then you find out what's wrong with it after, don't you? And then bang, literally, I said to the boys, they were around my house. They finished on Saturday, come straight around mine Saturday evening. Sunday evening, we were in there till late. I bought them dinner. We had a good crack at home, and yeah, and I'm so thankful from there that they'll go out their way for me, and they love it. And I think as well, secretly, they love the construction sport stuff as well. In a way, we talk about it all, but to me, it's 2 different things. But they just find it hilarious that I'm still just running with it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So you've really created a nice company culture, haven't you? One where you all get on and you look after the team that you've got.
Yeah, definitely. So there's 5, 6 guys, all kind of East London, Essex based, as rough as it come. Yeah, they're probably involved in the wrong crowds at West Ham games on Saturday afternoons, but they'll always have my back. Good stuff. But yeah, we have a laugh. So there's a lot of banter. You go on about banter and whether it should be what is banter and that. But when there's a lot of respect between people, you know the buttons you can press, and you know exactly when people need that bit more. When you get that phone call and say, "Steve, I need a little bit more support. Can you help us out?" Then they'll open up to you because they trust you.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So let us know what's coming up with your charity then, Stephen. What's coming up in construction sports? Your long-term vision?
Yeah, so our road to Twickenham's begun. So we're looking at playing at all the rugby stadiums across the country. How we're going to do that, I don't know, but we're tapping at doors, and we've just had Saracens yesterday. We've got London Irish booked in for May next year. We're just awaiting a call back from Leicester Tigers. And then we're going to try and get around them with the rugby team side of it. So as of yesterday, I've kind of chosen a few lads who are going to head up the rugby side of it for me because it's a little bit too much for me. But with that as well, we've got a few kind of big treks we're planning on walking HS2 before the end of the year. That's coming in place. 140-mile walk between the 5 or 6 of us, I think, are going to be doing it over 3 days. But yeah, as of now, as we're live when this recording, we're going out tonight on BBC One. There's a program called Coping in Construction, and that's all about pretty much, as we just spoke about, really the truths of the industry, what's going on out there, and how the workforce is struggling, and where the short of the breakdown of support is. Yeah, the BBC come to me on New Year's Eve last year and said, "Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yeah, it sounds like a complete hoax, and someone's obviously winding me up, but let's go for it." And yeah, it turned out it was real. So they're supposed to get a few weeks back, but yeah, because Her Majesty's vigil got delayed a little bit, so I done my bit for royalty there and gave away my slot on BBC One, and I need a medal on my chest now. And then yeah, it comes out tonight, but that's had an amazing response already. We had the Evening Standard get in touch on Tuesday because the BBC send it out to all their kind of media outlets and internal ones as well. Evening Standard have just done a piece on it. Another outlet called My London, the BBC Radio 5 Live had me on there yesterday afternoon. Live, that was live on air. That was a bit worrying. I've been live on air before. That was a bit different, but and then this afternoon I've got to head to London to the BBC studios for BBC London News. Then the programme comes out at 7:30 tonight, and then I've actually sent a message saying, can I go to Manchester first thing in the morning for BBC breakfast? But this is the point. I just said it, and my missus was completely right. It was like, got to be in London tonight, Manchester tomorrow, and a christening tomorrow afternoon, and rightly so. And it's potentially a big call from my professional side, but my family side, I've got to make the call. I'm going to say to them, I can't go to Manchester tomorrow. I've got my family, boys, my kids haven't seen me a week, and even though that'll go on national TV, that one, sometimes you just got to go. That, yeah, know when to stop.
Yeah,
and I'm not good, so that's why I suppose that's why I've got a wife.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and these opportunities will always be there if you put your priorities right. I think that's why, Steve. That's really fantastic. So if someone wants to watch the BBC show, I guess that will be on BBC iPlayer, will it?
Yes, yeah, it's going on BBC iPlayer. So it's on I think it's on BBC South, BBC One South and South East. And I didn't realise here BBC North have a slightly different schedule sometimes. But after the show tonight, after 8:00 this evening, it'll be on BBC iPlayer for everyone to see. Yeah, so
brilliant. Just tell us the title of it again so that they can search for it.
Yes, it's under a series called Made in England, but the actual title of this episode is Coping in Construction. So BBC One or BBC iPlayer. Yeah, it touches on a big trek that we done from Twickenham to the Excel Centre overnight at the start of May. And then it goes to a bit of my story, a bit to a couple of the scaffold lads that I know story, touches on a bit of football that we've done. And yeah, a few different things we've done and a few other people from outside of our network as well. But their stories. So I think it's the truth. It's they got to me, put it that way. But they sat me in front of the camera and they peeled me right open, shall we say? And you'll see that on the episode. I'll say no more.
We'll make sure we watch that. That sounds brilliant. So if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, look, I really want to somehow get involved in one of your events or being part of this. How would they do that? What's the best way? Is it only for construction owners to bring their teams, or is it open to individuals? How does it sort of work?
Anyone and everyone. We had mothers, daughters, kids, everyone there yesterday at the rugby, the families, everyone. I want to make it a real family thing, community kind of project, really, in a way, to the whole country as such. But we're, through our website, info at constructionsport.com, emails info at constructionsport.com, through Twitter, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a big one personally for me. I've got a team of guys who help me now with the social media side, so Instagram or TikTok as well now, because we realise that's the next generation are coming through to get to them and support them. All the social media outlets we're on. We have a membership program in place now for companies that just want to be associated to a certain degree, and then we also have a membership platform pretty much for people who want a bit more in-depth support for companies and an online kind of presence with supporting their workforce. So we're happy to talk to everyone. I think it's been a long time coming. This kind of brochure we've had in place has fell in line with this today and this getting this media storm going. So who knows what it's going to have. But the only thing we said, the main thing, we just want change really. So a bit of respect for the workforce.
It's fantastic, and just to clarify, it's not just rugby, is it? Is it all sports you're doing? You've mentioned a couple today, walking, and a bit of football.
Rugby's obviously I'm a little biased towards it, but we've done a lot of golf, and we tried to ease a little bit off the golf because it was getting a little bit. It can become just very much a director's party, so we do get involved, but we normally go to the golf days now rather than host too many. But we do want to call out to JCB Golf Club if anyone's part of that. We've got a few contacts who are pushing on at the moment. I want to take some real construction workers to the JCB Golf Course and have a real good day. So we'll find a way of making that possible. Auckland's been a big one. A few lads are actually playing on marathons now with the buzz of the London Marathon just gone. what else is there? Golf, rugby, football. Essex Fire Brigade offered yesterday said they want a football match against us, so we can look at forming a team. If anyone wants to get involved with any of the sports, just let us know. And I want to put a team together. So when you go onto kind of the military's homepages, you can see they represent all different sports. That's where I want it to be. I want people to literally want to come and join the industry because they know they can represent the company and industry plan against different industries. So
yeah, amazing vision.
That's where we are.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well,
how we do it, I don't know. That's the funny bit. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure with all the media coverage that you're going to start getting, it's certainly going to pick up some pace, and those connections I'm sure are out there and listening. So, Steve, it's been really valuable having you on the program today and the podcast. I wish you all the best with, especially your BBC show that's going out tonight. But most importantly, the best with construction sports, because it's doing such amazing work in the community and in the construction industry. So, thanks for being on, Steve.
No, massive thank you for the opportunity to share about us all about. Really, these little things are what really puts the cogs together and makes us move. So every little bit of support we can get, I'm massively thankful for.
Great stuff. All the best.
Thanks, Greg. Take care.